Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out VeChain's price chart, and what we talked about in the previous video I'm going to argue pretty much played out. Why? If you remember, the last time that we talked about VeChain, we were around this important high, and the idea was that relative to this move down, seems like we are having a correction structure on the upside. Most likely, if our correction has ended to about this point, this is a WXY in form of a double zigzag, suggesting what? Well, unfortunately, we are going to have another move down in VeChain in order to take the lows down here for the first target, about 2.38 cents, but we may end up going a bit lower than that, and that pretty much played out. Question is, what can be a likely pattern for this move? You see, you can consider many different possibilities, but I believe you need to think about having a WXY in form of a double zigzag, and in case of having a double zigzag, the sub waves for an ABC is going to be like this: 5 down into a correction for wave B, maybe ABC, maybe WXY, maybe even a triangle, honestly doesn't matter, and then another 5 down into wave C. Let's go on the live chart and count some waves, and sure, maybe you are able to argue, look, this is 1, this is 2, this is wave 3 to about here, maybe we're having a correction for wave 4, and we're gonna have like another move down in the short term into wave 5, which on a higher degree, these are going to be the sub waves for an ABC zigzag. Do not get me wrong, this scenario is absolutely allowed to be in play. However, I think you can think of a WXY in form of a double zigzag a bit more, because it does actually look like we are having that. And in that case, I am going to argue this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to about this point, and it's actually going to be into the C leg of our first zigzag. And I know you are going to now scream at me that, look, into our C leg, if I just hide everything, as you can see, we didn't definitely take the low of our wave A. So what's the deal? I'm going to argue this is probably a truncated wave C, and followed by that, this is a correction up, yes, probably an A, B, and then ending diagonal into our C leg, and this can be yet another A, B, C zigzag, completing hopefully the subwaves for a WXY in form of a double zigzag. And by the way, one very important characteristic of a double zigzag is being kind of a deep move on the downside, and when you compare it to this move, seems like that, yep, we almost retraced to about the 88% level. So by all accounts, this is definitely a deep move down. Now, question, can we argue that in VeChain we already have hit our final low? The answer is maybe yes. You see, if you want to be optimistic and you want to say the final low is already in, then okay, show me off of the lows, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in order for me to be able to be bullish with just like a bit more confidence. Now, this specific structure is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 is not allowed to be the smallest wave. And for our sub waves, you know what is going on: 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. Let's actually change the colors in order for you to see them a bit better. There we go. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have many different possibilities. It's not really that important. Let's say ABC into 4 and like a WXY structure into wave 2. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. So let's zoom on more. There we go. And as you can see, maybe we are having in here a 1 correction for 2, another move up into wave 3 correction for 4, and I actually do believe that this move up is going to continue a little bit more, and it's going to be into our wave 5. But here's a very important point: this move to me is not really that important. It's honestly kind of predictable. In fact, I'm going to argue after this 5 wave up, we are going to get a very slow and choppy pullback, followed by another move on the upside. And then what really matters is this: what's going to happen in this area? Are we going to get from here a very strong move down in order to take this low for the first target, which will definitely be a bearish sign, indicating that we should probably expect some more downward price action? On the other hand, are we going to get a very slow move, a correction structure, followed by another move up, which will be a very optimistic sign, suggesting on a higher degree, you know what, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the final low most likely in VeChain is already in. So as you can see at the moment, it is like way too soon to jump into any kind of bullish or maybe even bearish conclusion. Right now it's just a bit of a waiting game in VeChain in order for us to see which scenario is going to play out. Let's just be patient and see a 5-wave up followed by a rather deep pullback, and then okay, fair enough, if in here we identify the right subweights, this can be a beautiful long opportunity. And here is my final point. You see, even if we are going to have from these areas, let's say another move down in VeChain in order to take the loss, that's not really going to be important for me. You see, let's go on H1 time frame, zoom in more and see what is happening in terms of indicators, because I think there are some very important signals in here. So what is going on? Let's actually remove a stock RSI so you can see the candles a bit better. As you can see, this is a low. The other one in VeChain is a low. However, in MACD, we are having a low. The other one is a higher low. So this is a beautiful looking bullish divergence. And here is the line for it. Now, you probably know what I'm about to say in case that you are a regular viewer of the channel. This by itself is a very optimistic sign, suggesting bears are indeed running out of power and maybe even we have hit our final bottom. However, if we get another move down in VeChain, it's not necessarily going to be a bad sign as long as we are not getting a break of this divergence line, okay? If we get a break of it, at that point, count on some more sharp downward price action. This is really the key point. We can have, for example, a very small move down in order to take the loss by like the smallest margin. And then since we haven't gotten a break of the divergence, maybe this is going to work and just send the price up, and this will be at our final. But this is why I think in like very short term, all eyes should be on this beautiful bullish divergence line. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in VeChain. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.